Shanji goes towards that Gwen again, and V5 picking up the Wukong, and they can very easily just go towards Lillia. They feel like it worked in game number 2, it should work in game number 3. Now this is where I expect OMG to potentially adapt and change their draft. The bans have all stayed the same, the first 3 picks are the same, but now I want to see Aki switch things up, and he's going to go towards the Xin Zhao, and it looks like Creme is going to go towards a proactive mid, maybe looking to take away rookies Ahri.
Okay, so I've just double-checked while we are going through this draft real quick. The fastest game of the split was in fact V5 versus WE. They beat them in 21 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yeah, I thought that was the fastest game.
That'll be what V5 are looking for in game number 3 after what we just witnessed in game number 2. But again, Shanji sticking with this Gwen, deciding he's happy with the matchup into the Lillia. Creme sticking with the Sylas. Aki going for a bit more of an aggressive jungler here. We'll see where we go in the second half of this draft, because I feel like Xiaolongbao very happy with the Wukong. This Wukong Ahri worked so well for V5.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is whether or not OMG are actually going to respond in-game more proactively to what V5 are doing. Because it felt like they definitely had the option with the Vi to just kind of shut down, or at the very least, maybe the better way to phrase it is enable Shanji in this top side matchup to at the very least be fed. Whilst, of course, Abel and Cold were kind of getting blasted in the 3 versus 2, really try and give Shanji and yourself as Aki a bit more leeway and leverage to play with. V5, though, taking away the Lulu from Cold, so they don't want to deal with the Aphelios Lulu and OMG. After having to deal with, the single target kind of pick comp that they had in game 1, and pseudo in game 2, remove away the Tom Kench because they don't want to have to deal with Devour anymore.
No, you could even ban like a Braum if you just want to speed up the bottom lane, right? Like the Renata, the Tom Kench gone, the Lulu gone, try and remove some of those, but actually taking Lucian off the board, which does lean towards the Aphelios pick, right? But V5 could just grab it for themselves.
Yeah, V5 could grab it for themselves. They'll still have support counter pick as well. Ooh, playing with the idea of stealing away the Sivir, because I think actually OMG would quite like Sivir with their composition. We'll see whether or not they actually end up doing it. A couple of hovers come through, leaning towards that Jinx. The Aphelios then will be up for Abel. It seems like they're happy to take the handshake, but the timer ticks and they will take away the Sivir, and I think that's kind of a smart idea. Simply because OMG, short range composition, very samey idea as game number 1, when you have 3 bruisers, and of course that Sivir can buff them all up. This time though, V5 will have that ultimate to work with, and a whole bunch of resets can potentially come through.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of like aggressive enchanter supports available. Like we saw the Ashe come out from Cold in game number 1 to deal with the Aphelios alongside that Sivir. Karma also could be an option for ppgod. Just these poke supports that want to ruin your laning phase. But OMG, not interested in long-range supports here. Cold wants to go in.
No, but I like this. I think from Cold's perspective, you see a lot of mobility at the moment, and trying to shut that down would definitely go the distance in terms of setting up for the rest of OMG's composition right now. I think a Braum pick would kind of just make sense. 4 melees rather. Melee support to support. And you can always win out in those 3v3s just off of the concussive blow stacking up. So V5 set up in a relatively similar manner as game number 2 here. Bottom side matchup, which should be pretty good for them. They should have a fair amount of priority from that Sivir lane. And the top side matchups in the lanes, exactly the same as game number 2. It's just the jungle matchup, just shifted up a little bit. No more Vi, it's the Xin Zhao Faki.
Yeah, I will say it's very, very difficult. Unless Cold can find an all-in, it's going to be impossible for Abel and Cold to find any space in this bottom lane, right? Sivir just one-shots those waves. ppgod will be able to deny a lot of the answer coming out from the enemy team. I'm curious how OMG are going to approach this one. Looks like smiles still on the faces. I think that was Aki there. Still happy with the situation, still confident going into this one. I'm curious about the top side of the map. I feel like everything is going to be decided between mid, jungle, and top. Based on what happened in game number 2, it was all about that scrap. And even in game number 1, honestly, OMG winning that initial scrap at the chickens that led them to having the big lead that they ran away with the game.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes seem to be very indicative of who ends up winning these games. And I want to see a little bit more from Aki in this game number 3 compared to number 2. I feel like whilst there was a lot of shutting down going on from Xiaolongbao and his own pathing, I think there were still a couple of very strong options to try and play around the top side mid lane. I've said it a couple of times now. I just don't want to see OMG sitting on their hands. I want to see that same level of relentless aggression that we got out of them in game number 1. Even if V5 have themselves set up in a very, you know, dictionary-esque way, mid-prio into bot, 4-man dives, go and respond on the top side of the map. So it's not just V5 slamming your bot lane without you getting anything back.
OMG, spotted by Rich.
But they didn't spot Cold.
It's a disaster.
Didn't spot
Cold manages to get into the Baron pit, but
Flash.
I don't think they'll be able to find Rich
Send
here unless they really
Send
go, yeah. Creme gonna find a chain lash here. A little bit of damage, or abscond duck, sorry. But ultimately, nothing comes out of it. Nice play by Rich, just spots it all out, denies the level 1 action.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bit, you know, like devil on your shoulder. Like, just want Cold to just go, just for the sake
This is your conscience speaking.
But obviously, you know, if they blow Rich's flash, that is a very strong lane to then just try and get on top of. Lillia is relatively immobile without it if she doesn't have the passive stacked up. But anyway, we have a invade going on with Braum. There is a ward over the wall, and they will spot them out if they go towards it. But OMG are very cautiously approaching this red buff, and they're finally going to see V5 come in. I think we're going to potentially get skirmish, but I've seen the Braum teams win these quite a lot.
Yeah, Sivir also extremely good at level 1. That boomerang blade does massive damage if it doesn't hit minions first. Crucially, there are basically no minions in the situation aside from that red buff. Red actually going to reset. Both teams essentially just delaying their start to the game here as Aki starts off with the Krugs to try and hit level 2. Smites that one down. In the meantime, V5 just continue on the red buff. They're going to keep this ball rolling here. 1,000 smite available. Remember, we just saw the smite from Aki, so that'll be red buff taken. And now the fight ensues, but Aki with first blood and looking for a second as well. That's the clone, though, as they chase for a little bit more. Cold waiting on the cooldown. A bandage toss. If he can find a target, could be Curtains. Photic next on the chopping block. Still has flash, uses it, and immediately the whole gang jumps on top.
Oh, crucially for OMG, look who didn't blow flash in that entire exchange, is able. So now even if Xiao and Bao and the rest of V5 are able to wrap themselves back around to the bottom side eventually, the aggression is potentially just going to be staved off with some more defensive summoner spells, and OMG just punished this late invade from V5. Really smart adaptation to just try and pick up the Krugs. Even though they lose out on the red buff, they pick up 2 kills. One of them goes to Abel, crucially, and Abel, Aki rather, also picks up one for himself to try and slingshot himself ahead 1-to-1 against Xiao and Bao in this jungle matchup.
Yeah, and crucially, like you say, that camp being taken away by Xiao Bao, so that would have been the small advantage, but with Aki getting the kill, it's totally mitigated, and an assist on top as well. So really nice stuff from OMG. And we said this game is likely dictated by how the first few minutes go. That was V5 being aggressive. That was V5 initiating the play. They've set themselves 600 gold behind.
A lot of gold very early on. It is just those 2 kills. And we will continue to see how it actually impacts the lanes directly as well. Of course, both Creme and Rookie also got very late returns to their respective lanes. But
man, look at Abel's inventory. Yeah, he's just head back to base. He's only got 10 CS, but he's got 2 long swords. Man, he is going to be hard to lane against.
Yes, he is. Those additional stats are going to just make trading 1-to-1 very, very hard. Pretty sure both those junglers did see each other. Yeah, a bunch of pings come down, but no smite on either side. Maybe Aki wants to go for it, but it seems like he'll just go for the reset instead. Xiao Bao will pick up this Skull Crab. And I expect we'll probably go back to his own lane, though look at Cream's health bar, so he's going to just go and pressure this. And Rookie is trying to get this wave in as much as he can, push Cream back. Huge wave, teleports there, but he's going to miss a couple of creeps.
Yeah, Creme respecting it though, backing away, knowing that Xiao Bao could try and make a play. Xiao Bao now moving up to the top side where Shanji also fairly low. Finally, does get spotted out on that one. So just returns to his own jungle. And this should mean Aki can get his Krugs and then even move over to the Scuttle Crab. That said though, ppgod and Photic are moving over with the priority on the bottom side. I think they might just take the crab for themselves.
Yep. No, I think when you have this much priority, neither jungler going towards that bottom side Scuttle, just take it for yourselves. Get yourself that individual lead. Great job from Photic and ppgod. And a bunch of pings coming down, but I think that Skull Crab will probably be secured as Rich is going to be a complete nuisance. And over the wall, actually.
Bit aggressive from Cold. Aki goes in as well. Photic's in trouble. Knocked up. Taken down. OMG. You cannot just take their crabs. Xiaolongbao, though, burning away. Oh, and it goes down. Shanji trades it with the dive at the top side.
Yeah, I mean, Shanji's going to be more than happy with that, right? You pick up the trade in 2v1 on that tower dive. He's still going to teleport back to the wave anyway. And then on the bottom side, Aki and Cole just go on to Photic. They know he still doesn't have flash from the earlier exchange at the level 1. Very, very free to dive onto, and they saw them taking the Scuttle Crab. As let's see how this unfolds. So Xiaolongbao comes off his red buff, still sees Shanji is extremely low and just flashes forward, looks for it. But because of that dash from Shanji, it means that the execute can't come through soon enough, and Xiaolongbao has to overcommit and path in a way which makes him take more tower shots than potentially he had to.
I mean, desperation, right, from the side of V5. They did not need to dive without minions there. That was a dicey play to make. And we talked about the two top laners and how Shanji often somehow wins while playing weak side. Well, against V5, one of the best teams in the league, Shanji still pulls it off. OMG winning both sides of the map simultaneously, and now 1,500 gold ahead. We talked about how whoever wins the early game will likely win the game in this one, and OMG are looking real good against V5 as Shanji looks for an all-in on the top side. Rich kicked out of the top lane.
Yeah, just chunking him down. Aki can be pathing towards the top side. Rich needs to be a little bit careful, but so does Shanji, to be honest. Sleep comes in, Xiaolongbao, not going to commit. And almost just kind of traded. But an important stat, Munch, that we forgot to track. Shanji's kill on Xiaolongbao is technically a solo kill.
Oh!
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, which means Shanji is now tied with the Shy for solo kills. If he can get one more solo kill in this series, Shanji will be the most solo killingest player in the LPL.
Yes, he will indeed. Aki's going to be forced out here. There's not too much sticking power from Xiaolongbao, but maybe he can just run him down in the long, actually. But look towards the mid lane, because Creme has first move. And Cold has also found his way up here, so I don't think that's an exchange that V5 are willing to take at this moment in time. And there will just be a bit of a disengage, but still, Shanji, most solo killingest solo killer in the LPL if he finds one more.
Yeah, we'll see if he can find that, though. That'll be the question, because it's not, you know, as much as Shanji makes it look easy, it's not an easy feat to find a solo kill, especially in a counter matchup. So he'll need to make some kind of miracle happen in order to make it work. But there's still time. It's still a possibility. Shanji will just be clearing this wave. Dragon started, though, by OMG. They have a gold lead, and they want to use it. 1,000 ahead at the time, as we mention it. And crucially, able extending that big lead that he started off the game. Off the back of that death from Photic, you could see a huge CS lead has opened up, almost finishing his call, having the lead from the initial kill as well. Feels pretty fantastic for Abel on an Aphelios, on a champion that needs to get the items before he really exists.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've seen what Abel can do when he gets a lead already in this series alone. We've also seen what Photic can technically do as well. So, bottom side, we expect it to be a very important matchup anyway. This game, it's just not gone V5's way off the back of that lay invade. And something that they opted for. Let's not forget, they had the Braum pick, they had the Wukong, they had the Sivir. They said, okay, we've got a very strong level 1, let's go for it. Just turned around in their face. Great adaptation in the moment. Split decision making made by OMG gave them that lead. And they will now pick up that dragon. I want to see whether or not they prioritize the Herald, or which team actually prioritizes it more. Because I think we've seen pretty good Herald usages so far this series, and to me, if you give either of these AD carries a bunch of additional gold, you're definitely running the risk of having to deal with, you know, the 3 items or the 2 item spike a lot sooner than you'd perhaps want to. But also, we've even seen OMG chuck that Herald up towards the top side for Shanji on the Gwen, which has come to pretty positive effect for them as well. Speaking of the top side, everybody's here.
This is scary for V5 because OMG's bottom lane is moving on over. Xiaolongbao already low on HP as there's a kill for Creme onto Rich. Rookie stuck in the pit, does have flash available. Xiaolongbao spinning his way out of the situation. Rookie would love to steal this away, but realizes he's getting flanked and has to back away. Wave pushed in the mid lane by Abel and Cold as well, as Abel might even grab himself a plate in that mid lane. So a bit of bonus gold for him. Loses a wave at the bottom side, but honestly, OMG are more than happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, Abel up trades in gold, loses a bit of XP, feels bad, but also you don't really care that much. You probably got the mid wave too, as that skirmish is going on, and Zhao and Bao just got one shot. I'm not even sure what dealt most of that damage. I'm sure the replay will unveil to us what it was.
Pretty sure it was Shanji.
Was it Shanji or was it Aki though? Because it felt like Aki kind of just, yeah, dealt a lot of damage. Half healthed him with just a couple of autos and the ultimate. But you can see Shanji comes over the wall and absolutely decimates Rich. Almost does the exact same thing to Zhao and Bao as well. At that point, V5 just have to retreat and give over the Herald.
Yeah, I think you're right. Aki got in the middle of that, but then it was also the third needlework out from Shanji. Yeah. So the two combined was just the end of Rich. That was the end of the story for him. Now, 5-1 on the scoreboard. First Drake taken by OMG and the Herald to boot. We need to look towards Aki on where he wants to place that. Rich 1v1ing Shanji. I'm keeping my eyes glued to this top lane because if Shanji gets one more solo kill, he'll tie the Shy. And that is just... remember, this is Shanji's first year as a pro in the LPL. What an accolade that would be.
Man, Chinese rookies, man, they are just so talented.
Actually, rookie's Korean.
Well
Shanji.
Shut up, man!
Up in the top side.
Damn it!
We'll just see the wave crash.
Yes, it seemed like they were looking to get the Herald down somewhere. Not quite gonna find it. Oh, this is Zhao and Bao is now also covering. Yeah, it seems like they do really want to try and get Shanji ahead in this matchup, but V5 are really putting a lot of time into potentially stopping this from happening. Do they know because of that Tri-Brush reward, actually? I didn't quite catch where Zhao and Bao entered the top side of the lane from, whether it was directly through lane or kind of through that entrance. So I assume actually OMG probably know.
Well, regardless, they're going to play it relatively safe, right? Shanji's just going to be clearing this wave, and you can see Aki pathing down to the bottom side. But honestly, from the perspective of Aki, still has, what, 2/3 of the Herald time remaining, so still has time to work with here. But if you can't give it to Shanji, you could quite happily give that down to Abel, right? 4 plates remaining, you could happily finish that tower off. The only difficulty is Sivir's good at clearing the wave, right? But even still, I feel like you could just slam it and grab a couple of plates for Aphelios. No one's ever going to complain about that.
Yeah, but I think also it's... Shanji?
Zhao and Bao stayed so long to make this happen, but then the Hallowed Mist just denies the play.
Yeah.
I mean, Ultimate invested, a massive amount of time invested. Bit of a disaster, honestly, for V5.
Gwen is immune. Smile, and now OMG will move towards this mid lane. Of all places, expecting it maybe to go towards Abel, but opening up the mid lane against the Sivir with so much wave clear, definitely pay heavy, heavy dividends later on. So I don't mind this, honestly. Creme and Aki will share the gold there. And on the bottom side, you can see because so many members were pulled over and now OMG have mid lane priority, it's forcing Photic to actually retreat back towards the tier 2. And Abel is just shredding with the red white.
Man, the tower never stood a chance. Oh, wait,
He's
did
right.
it?
No,
Oh, it
he's
did
good,
stand
he's
a
good,
chance.
he's good,
My
he's good, he's
God. Okay, the tower stood a reasonable chance.
This, though, this is a pretty big deal because now, because OMG decided to, or, well, Abel decided to trade his HP for that tower, they can't retreat to the dragon, and this could give V5 the opportunity to stop the stack as well, because Abel has to go back to base. And I think a bit of a misstep. A bit greedy for the gold, sure. Picks it all up. But
I don't know. Because the thing is, I know what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
V5, get the Drake. It's nice. But look at the gold, man. 4,500 gold in favor of OMG right now. That is terrifying.
Yeah, that is pretty spooky now.
All in on the top side. This is going Rich's way. Ignite is burning away. There's the needlework as well. And Creme's arrived. Rich thought it was a 1v1, but he was wrong.
It was a 2v1 in the end. No solo kill for Shanji. I think he was actually pretty close to getting 1v1 by Rich. 2-1-2. And finally, we almost started to see why this matchup can be a little bit dangerous for the Gwen side of things, but it gets shattered immediately by Creme as he shows up and saves his top laner's life. Rich, 2 games in a row. I feel like even though pulling out this Gwen has had pretty decent effect in the later stages, right? In some of the team fights and the skirmishes, 1v1 hasn't really been able to bring it to Shanji, I feel like, until right now. And this is kind of why you can pull the sleep in, and the W deals so much damage. Look at that. 5-2 on a sweet spot W whilst the sleep is active. But yeah, Hallowed Mist movement speed enables him to dodge out away from Rich's Swell Seed. And fortunately, Creme was there to pick up the pieces in that 1v1.
Take a little love tap for trying to step up and defend his vision here. Herald spawning in 45 seconds, and you can see complete vision control on the top side for OMG. As Abel's moved into this mid lane to get priority and might well be able to finish that tower off with the Calibrum. Has a lot of range. Photic should be able to try and one-shot the wave, but I don't think he can really defend this one. There goes the tower. So 2 tier 1s now taken by OMG, and they continue to extend that gold lead. 5,000 now as they move up towards the top side. Rookie could be in trouble. He's alone here. If Cole can get onto him, then all of that mobility isn't going to do much against him to move.
Yeah, no, it is not. Oh, they could catch Abel out on the rotation, actually, and they're going to.
Huge pick here onto Abel. Flashes Gale Forces over to the rest of his team. ppgod just gets denied the engagement. Rookie's here behind the play. Now, absolute chaos in the middle of the fight as Photic getting these ricochets. Cold should go down as Rookie finishes that one, but Photic chased by Aki to try and finish the kill. Creme over the wall as well, and Rookie has to save the play. Xiaolongbao can't join the skirmish right now. Red buff taken. Rookie gets it. Denies the play. Now Xiaolongbao, he's the one on the flank as Aki tries to escape topside.
Yeah, all right, they're not quite going to be able to chase out here. Rich almost joins the fight as well because it goes on for so long. I think he was all the way in the bottom side of the map. But Abel just rotating over vision. And Xiaolongbao tries to capitalize and does. Finds him eventually. The fight ends up being a 2 for 2, I believe. As replay, you'll see Abel not on wards until right here. And then you can see it's just an immediate let's go. Flash, Gale Force up towards the rest of his team. Cold denies the engage here. From ppgod, and that's a really nice ultimate, but the issue is Abel just doesn't have enough HP to survive the still diving members of Rookie and Xiaolongbao, and OMG kind of caught in between the choke, and you can see the overcommit, or the commit rather, goes onto Photic, so they can at the very least make it a 4-2 as the fight draws to a close eventually.
Yeah, chaotic fight up in the top side there, but just carnage, and I love the fact that this OMG squad are so willing to just go in, and Rookie managing to kind of pull that play together off the back of it. He was not really focused during the fight and able to take over. But look at this bottom lane from V5 right now. Both side lanes struggling. Rich 1 and 2 in this game. Photic and ppgod 0-3-0-2. They are having a really hard time of it. And just look at the carries on the side of OMG, right? Shanji doing fine, got a kill for himself. You've got Creme, who's 2-0-3 with 5 stacks on the Dark Seal. And Abel massively accelerated on the Aphelios. Everything that could go the way of OMG feels like it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not really sure what V5 will be able to do for the next couple of minutes. I think especially once Abel picks up that collector that he's got building in the offs, it's going to be kind of hard to contest until you start to pick up your own second items. But Abel not having flash maybe gives you another window to find and engage onto him. You know how Abel likes to be aggressive, and he is very capable of making very minor positioning mistakes like what we just saw. And V5 definitely still, despite struggling to what we expect from them, very capable and very happy to punish those movements.
If they can pull this off, OMG, I can't wait to see what they'll do in playoffs. But Rich in a little bit of trouble here as Vision going to be taken. 20 seconds until that Drake and Aki not afraid of the enemy team. Now there's Abel, which that one felt a little dicey, but the rest of the team there as they move on in, clearing Vision. And look at the confidence with which OMG move into this river. A tough one for V5 to contest, I fear. Drake should be able to just be started here by OMG, honestly. TP into the mid lane from Shanji. He's pretty lonely, but does have that Hallowed Mist.
It's crazy how just pressing W stops you from getting engaged entirely on that champion. But like you say, OMG have control of the river for now, but you can see Abel and Cold actually have been split off. They couldn't enter the river with their jungler mid. Start off the dragon at the very least, but you can see mid lane prior at the very top of your screen being very happily contested by V5, and now the fight is likely to ensue.
Yeah, Cold looking for an all-in, but actually gets chomped by Rookie. Huge put to sleep. Turns Gold and keeps himself alive here. Ults, gets the stun onto Rich and almost turns it around. Drake was taken in the meantime. Moonlight Vigil across the team. Rookie fairly low. The needlework across the team. Abel walking forwards. Does not have the cooldowns. Doesn't have Flash. Doesn't have Gale Force. So he can't turn it into anything more. It's a 1 for 0, but a Drake crucially for OMG.
Yeah, OMG get themselves that dragon. I was kind of concerned for V5 for a moment because Abel stacked up so many chakrams off the Moonlight Vigil ultimate, but fortunately, they still get the dragon. They walk out. They do lose Cold, but with the fight being as split as it was and Cold getting chunked out so early on, it made sense that he would drop almost enable Shanji to actually pick up Rich, but Rich. Lillia, very fast. 4 legs.
Yeah, definitely. I can't disagree with either of those statements. Definitely 4 legs, definitely very fast. Assuming she's pressed Q at least one time. A tough fight there for V5, but honestly,
Yeah.
you know, with OMG almost winning that fight, but not quite, I'd say that's positive for V5 in the grand scheme of things. That should be a pretty one-sided fight for OMG. The fact that Cold gets caught before it all kicks off. Like, imagine if you can get that Curse of the Sad Mummy on the entire team, because V5 were really clumped there. That's curtains. That's the whole game. They could have even moved up to Baron, potentially, off the back of that. So, the fact that it didn't go drastically worse for V5, honestly, I'm going to call a win.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think the longer the game goes out, the more chance V5 have at winning this game, as it looks like a bit of a skirmish is going on, and Rich is dead.
Yeah, he thought he had an opportunity. He did not. Taken down in the... I saw a 2v2, but realistically, Xiaolongbao a little late to that play. Rich going too deep. And OMG, the coordination just on point. And the coordination is the biggest thing we've criticized for V5 over the last couple of weeks when they got the loss versus JDG versus Weibo. Coordination is the issue. Shanji knows what's up. Dodges away from the charm. Very nicely done. Bit of damage onto Xiaolongbao as well as the rest of the team moving on in. Spirit Rush comes out from Creme, but he can't quite connect much. Bit of damage onto Xiaolongbao, but that'll be it. Very close to disaster for V5 there.
Yeah, very, very close indeed. But what I wanted to say is I think the more time that Photic gets in a game like this, where he's playing against four melee champions and a lot of champions that can peel for him on his side, as long as he doesn't get picked off, he can really have some pop-off moments. He's got the PD in his inventory now. As soon as he hits that IE, he's going to be hitting like a truck. There isn't really too much armor on the side of OMG as a whole right now. In fact, actually the opposite. Magic Resist being itemized between the solo laners. It's only Aki now who is picking up that Warden's Mail. And that's about it. You have the Zhonya's on cold. So he's going to shred through a lot of these diving members if he's actually given the opportunity to get some of these ricochet autos off.
Yeah, that'll be the question. Like, the longer the fight goes on, I feel like the happier Photic is going to be, right? Just smashing those ricochets, as you say, the boomerang blades. But crucially, reduced cooldowns thanks to his ultimate. You do get the sort of cooldown resets whenever you auto on the new version of the Sivir ultimate. So Photic, despite being 0-3, still going to be an absolute terror in this game. And the speed with which he gets strong will increase, if that makes any sense. The more items you have, the faster you can farm, and the more gold you can get. And you can see, this will be the second time that he walks over and grabs those raptors. Xiaolongbao, he knows he's got one item, and that's all he's getting this game.
Me Wukong, me jungle, me lose all camps to AD. That's how it feels every single time. Especially when there's Sivir in the game. Sivir's just going to farm your camps for fun.
Listen, it's worth it.
It is worth it. No, it is worth it. Like, look,
here.
it's the jungler in me, like being a whiny baby, because I'm a resource jungler, so that's what it is. Yeah. I hate seeing AD players happy, man. That's what it is. I dislike it, but yeah, I think the sooner that Photic gets that IE, obviously the happier V5 are as a whole. And actually, crucially, despite the massive lead that OMG had in the early game, specifically through the bottom lane, you can see Photic is only down about 1,000, which in the scope of this game is a pretty big deal compared to where they were at the very start. Right, just down that BF sword, pretty much. Maybe there's a little more sitting gold in Abel's wallet for now. So Abel could be pretty close to the IE himself. But the fact that Photic isn't actually too far behind is a massive win for V5.
Honestly, the biggest gold lead feels like it's on Aki, which very beneficial right now, having the 2 items, but Aki will fall off. He'll fall off a cliff later on. Cold, very close to finding a pick on ppgod there, but Rookie has found his way into Pixel Brush. Just a bit of damage, has to back away, can't commit too hard.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very, very irritating, specifically for Rookie in these coming fights, to try and find a lot of damage onto Aki and Shanji with those big invulnerability shields, and especially now that OMG have first move here into the river. V5 checking in is a pretty risky deal, simply because their engage options are so limited, and OMG very happy to kite back and then re-engage, but that's a sleep.
Yeah, it's 2 sleeps here. Aki woken up cold, turns golden, in for the Drake, and Xiaolongbao finds it. Now for the fight, it's Rookie in the middle of everyone, but chased down by Abel, and the Chakrams will finish the Fox. Aki trying to chase down the side of V5, but they are damn quick with Photic's ult.
Yes, they are indeed. So they make it away from the fight, but Xiaolongbao, okay, dies. Tried to make it through the towers. I think he took tower shots, unfortunately, or maybe just a little bit too low. Either way, with him going down, I think OMG can actually go for a Baron here. I think there's a very solid angle. Abel has more than enough damage, has the guns for it too.
Creme dropping some emotes in the mid lane. He's just buying space. He's buying time.
Yeah.
He's trying to distract V5. As you say, the jungler going down is huge. Aki just arriving on the scene. Creme threatening Rich, threatening ppgod, threatening Photic, who's in big trouble. Baron down, and maybe a fight on top of it. Creme still staying alive in a 1v3. Takes the kill onto ppgod. Slightly shy. Will be able to finish it eventually. 13-4, and OMG might just find this upset.
Oh my god, is what I'm feeling right now for OMG, because as you say, upset is more than on the cards. We're over 10,000 gold up. And this, at the very least by time, will be the longest game we have in this series, which is a pretty big deal too. V5 just not able to stand up to the team fighting might that OMG are putting down, as they're going to find a pick at the very least onto Creme, or will they? Cold is in the area. I think that Hexgate being blown
as well.
Yeah, flash, Hexgate being shown to be used, just enough to disengage that fight. Now Baron in their pocket, 2 minutes left on it. How much can they get is the big question. You've still got the inners on top and bot, and they are sieged up and ready to push towards the bottom side.
Yeah, I feel like the answer to that question is a lot. They can get a lot off of this Baron. Like you say, 2 minutes remaining. Sivir up in the top lane means that Shanji can push the wave real deep in the mid lane, guarantee a tier 2 in the bottom side. The question in my mind is, can OMG finish an inhibitor? Because if they could get the bottom lane inhibitor here, which is looking fairly likely, honestly, could be dire straits for V5. Looks like OMG will play with some respect, though. And I kind of like this because you're against V5. You're on the cusp of an upset against one of the best teams in the entire league. As sorry, I'm going to interrupt myself. I'm pretty sure Rich just went to finish a ward and missed a cannon for it. That ain't it, Chief. That is
one. Oh, Photic.
That's an absolute crime, and so is this from Photic getting caught out on the top side. Shanji is officially your solo kill leader in the LPL.
I'm sure the Shy is going to be very upset about losing his crown on this one, and the next Weibo series is going to be full of Shy solo kills, potentially, but Shanji takes the crown for now, first place in those solo kills. Leaderboard, he's the most solo-killingest solo killer in the LPL.
Certainly is. He'll be very I mean, he probably doesn't even know.
No,
I'll be totally honest.
I feel like
doubt
those are the kind of stats that, like, as a player, I know for a fact. Like, stats are something that players often don't track, but, like, things like solo kill stuff, they actually do. And I think Shanji might be okay. We'll see. Maybe he's lost count over the series.
Hopefully we get an interview after the game, or we'll be able to ask him himself, as immediately OMG just brute force their way into this game. When the Sivir is gone, the wave clear is too, and it means OMG can blow this map wide open. Shanji having the split of his career, and that's out of 2 splits. And he looks pretty good in Spring as well, so this man is making a career of himself right here as Shanji moves on in under the tower. Cold goes for the engage, double stun with a kiss, the sad mummy, and OMG tying a bow in this one. V5 taken down. OMG showing us what synergy looks like, showing us how you fight for the early game.
Exactly, and this is what we would normally expect from V5, but OMG are showing V5 how to play their own game. The Nexus is exposed, Rookie's forced to dash away, and OMG will take down V5 and pick up their 7th win of the split and give V5 their 3rd series loss.
An unprecedented upset here from OMG, and you know, the Weibo loss, people chalked up to Weibo managing to pull it out on the day. The JDG loss, people start to have questions about V5. Now OMG taking it to V5. It feels like if V5 can't get ahead in the early game, it is a disaster for them moving forwards. And OMG, on the other hand, celebrations galore. This is a team that is going to make playoffs. That's their 7th win now. They have 2 more series remaining against opponents that, if they could beat V5, they could beat BLG. I'm just going to say it how it is. This is a team that I am excited to see in a best of 5, and I want them to make a deep run in playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that they play compared to a lot of the teams around them in the middle of the pack, right? They are just a lot more coordinated and aggressive compared to, let's say, a team like LNG, right? I feel like that is one of their core strengths, and I think the only bit of concern is able, cold, chill out in the laning phase sometimes, but it works for them if they give them the resources, so it doesn't even matter that much. I think, yeah, it's absolutely wonderful that OMG have been able to take down V5, and I'm excited for them now. Like you say, moving towards playoffs, how high can the ceiling really be for this roster when you have so many individuals that can look so scary and threatening at many points in the game?
And if you just think back to the expectations of this roster, it's mind-blowing. Like, when you think back to the start of this year, we saw Abel and Cold, like Abel coming back into the LPL. There was a lot of question marks on how he'd be performing. Cold as well, one of the oldest players in the league. So the bottom lane, kind of these two veterans that nobody was really sure how they were going to work out. You had Creme, who had one split of performing, but we weren't sure about champion pool issues. And then in the top side, we had Aki, who we had high expectations of. And then Shanji coming in as a hyped up rookie, but again, big question marks. Well, a lot of those questions are being answered now. This OMG squad is here to stay in the LPL. And I, for one, am here for it. Like, I want to see every single OMG game that I can. I want as many games out of OMG as possible in playoffs, because not only are they a great team, but my God, are they entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's also the key thing for watching OMG is that they're insane. They're a fun team, and a lot of it just kind of comes down from their willingness to send it, I think, a lot of the time. Whether it's Aki, whether it's Cold, even if it's Shanji on occasion as well. Just, the coordination, the fact that everybody is so willing to just do it together is what makes OMG so fun. And even coming into this split for me as a guest, I was like looking at some of these middle of the pack teams, and I was saying OMG could be one of these teams that could be very fun to watch. I also thought the same of Ultra Prime, but we saw how that went for them. But OMG have been doing a fantastic job of honestly just looking like a strong team when it matters. And today it mattered just to ensure that they could get themselves over the finish line for playoffs. They still had 2 matchups that they should easily pick up, but taking down V5